There are so many things that we can do as individuals to start this cycle, and if we fail, it's okay, because it's a trial period.
It's nice to be back. And this fantastic panel of business leaders are going to share their experiences in institutionalizing sustainability with us. I'd like to start by first asking all of you about the MENA region's appetite for climate investment in terms of the adoption of innovation. Where does the MENA region stand in comparison with the rest of the world? Faraz.
Well, thank you so much, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. We're setting up our regional office here, and there is a reason for that. Although the regulatory regime is not at a stage the way Europe is, but the ethos of the system in the MENA region, the ability of the businesses to understand the criticality of ESG and sustainability, both are extremely superior compared to the rest of the world, minus the regulatory regimes. Hence, I feel that this is a fantastic space, and individuals, communities, businesses, and the system appreciates the space. So yes.
This is wonderful to hear. Martin, would you agree with Faraz?
I've just met Faraz today, and thank you for having me here. Absolutely. I've been in the region since 2015. I first moved here, and I've been in a number of roles before starting the company that I'm currently leading. And it's business friendly. It's a good place to come. You get access to organisations and individuals that you wouldn't dream of in Europe when it comes to senior leaders and royal family and accessibility and being in a position to be able to meet these people and those that are capable of change. One thing that I've noticed in the last 12 months per se is how, as the ramp up to COP28 has come about, that there has been a real shift in emphasis towards sustainability and a willingness to engage in dialogue about how organisations are going to look at returns beyond financial and into the non-financial sphere of social, economic and environmental returns on investment. We just need to move a bit faster, I think was the message.
Need to be a bit faster. That's great to hear. So Egypt hosting COP27 last year, the UAE hosting COP28 this year, hopefully giving a push to sustainability in this region. Dr. Neshwa, what are your thoughts?
First of all, thanks for having me and with my esteemed colleagues here. I think for us, sustainability it's not a choice, it's a mandate. And in our part of the world, because of many issues that we have, I mean, we're susceptible to climate change more than anywhere else in the world. The resources that we have will be affected dramatically. I think that what's happening now in the region is amazing. From between 21 to 22, around 60% up in the initiatives that relate to sustainability, environmental change, and climate change. We can see projects everywhere. I mean, Masdar is pioneering in UAE, NEOM in Saudi Arabia, Solaris in Egypt, the Green Initiative in Morocco. I think that we're on the right track. With regards to innovation, maybe we're still trying to catch up because, it's not our forte at the moment, but if we see that, for instance, 6 banks in the UAE have invested around $51 billion in green investments in the past few years, this is a great indication of where we're heading, and I think it's the right track.
Many UAE banks and regional banks issuing green bonds to support sustainability. And we know that capital is really key for innovation and climate solutions. So tell us, how do you think we can accelerate funding and investments to really implement innovative climate technologies and projects in this region for us?
So it changes from region to region.
Yeah.
In Europe, from 1st of January, the regulatory regime is kicking in, and every business in Europe is moving from voluntary adaptation to mandatory. Now, that basically means that they don't have any choice. The reporting and disclosure is going to happen in December 2024. So be it transition financing, be it transitional technology, be it retrofitting, they have to abide by the regulatory regime, be it the standards, be it the frameworks, be it the taxonomy. So in Europe and UK and certain parts of the US, the pace of that would actually be quite quick. When you come to the MENA region, here the regulatory regime is taking shape quite efficiently as well. So in the next 2 to 3 years, you would see quite a fast track move towards it. And then the technology and the transitioning finance would actually kick in. Businesses are investing, at least in Europe and in the West. And I think here, because of the ethos, that pace is, if not matched, it's not that far away.
It will take a bit more time in this region. But just quickly tell us, will this new regulatory regime actually stop greenwashing in Europe?
Yes, it is going to significantly reduce. Stop, I think it would be a tall claim. So recently, around, I think a year back, Deutsche Bank, one of the leading financial institutions, was fined by the regulators, and it was all over in the public, simply because the regulators actually demonstrated that the bank was not performing in terms of their investments as per the guideline. So there was a claim of greenwashing. Recently, again, $160 million of investments were downgraded by the regulators because they did not comply. So yes, regulations will play a critical role in reducing the quality of greenwashing, I would say.
Reducing the quantity of greenwashing, fine. The quantity and the quality, of the greenwashing. Martin, your thoughts?
Carrot versus stick. Regulatory side is obviously the stick. That's the threat of carbon taxes, and we've recently just had this CBAM, carbon borders adjustment mechanism, that's come into this region, where heavy emitting industries like steel, concrete, aluminium, etc., and fertilizers, when they're exporting their goods or importing them into Europe, rather have to be very clear on reporting on their carbon footprint is one thing. At Zero Carbon Ventures, we're focused on projects that actually make money. And I think that's really important. And there's some low-hanging fruit out there. There's some opportunities to save energy, to upgrade infrastructure that will reduce the amount of water that gets used. And therefore, if you're investing in your own retrofitting or ecosystem industry to reduce energy, reduce costs on a long period of time, there's a financial payback period, which means that your investments will actually save your business money. For me, it's about how we unlock the capital to go after those projects and spend the time. I mean, organizations are focused on their thing. If you've got a steel business, you want to make steel, right? And you want to minimize your costs and that sort of thing, but there's this new advent of sustainability that's come in over the last 15, 20 years that is almost like a curveball that nobody expected, but there needs to be this real drive towards engaging in these projects, and it's so easy to do. You just need to get the right people, the right technology, and be brave and be bold and go beyond what is the sort of expected norm. Run these pilot projects that might not necessarily end up making money, because if it does, then the reward is huge. It's more of a venture capital type approach, which is just completely alien in some of these businesses. So for me, it's looking after these projects that have got a financial payback return through saving energy, saving water, producing a byproduct that you can sell. Vice the regulatory side, which is the stick. The carrot is huge, right?
Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit about being brave enough to scale up in a few moments, but I'd like to know, where do these tech startups really go wrong when they're trying to raise funding?
you know, again, we're talking about scale-ups. I think there's a question due about scaling up, but I think investment's about, let's look at investment as a core sort of thesis. Why do people invest money at all? And it's about trying to turn the capital that you've got into more.
Yes.
Right? And the thing from my perspective is that there are problems to be solved, there's money to be made, and if you're investing into a project, it's because you believe that the investment that you're making is going to make more money later. Right?
Yeah, but that's one of the major problems with the SMEs. They do not have the appetite for risk to spend more now, and in a few years' time things will be okay because they work on a very, very tight budget. So they need the regulations that would help them, to sustain themselves for this period in order to acknowledge the changes that need to be made within their organizations.
And work is being done as well. I think, and I've noticed this over the last 12 months, the large organizations, the big companies that have got that, the largest emissions to kind of go and tackle, need to get more comfortable from buying from new businesses. Okay, there's procurement historically always looks at what's been in the market for 20 years, what can we go and buy that's already tried and tested and proven elsewhere. And a lot of the climate innovation has taken 10 years to build, and it's only just coming to market now. So there's a reluctance to go and purchase it. So you get all these fantastic technologies that have been born out of a university somewhere, or has managed to get some seed financing, but because the organizations that need this technology are reluctant to buy it because it's not proven, means that these companies end up going down this valley of death and dying.
Risk averse. Tara.
Can I just quickly add to this? And there are two factual points, okay, two arenas. Your first question was that are people, are businesses, are investors investing? Yes, they're investing, and therefore there are very clear 4 reasons for that. Number one, previously in stock exchanges, the share price value of businesses was valued on sentiments and financial performance. And now, more and more, your ESG and sustainability performance impacts your share price value, number one. Number two, the valuation of your business actually increases if you are complying. You can charge premium pricing if you are ESG or sustainability compliant. And fourth, the biggest transition of wealth is happening in the next 10 years. Around more than, I think, $15 trillion of wealth would be transferred to these Gen Zs, the new generation. And they are definitely more socially conscious, and they are investing more into it. So these 4 indicators are very clear way forward for businesses and investors to invest in transition and ESG compliance.
Dr. Nashwa, sustainability is often driven by public awareness and engagement, and you know a lot about this, and you speak a lot about this. What are really the challenges in educating the public and educating SMEs on the significance of climate action?
Okay, maybe I'll start with the public. There are 3 pillars. The first one is awareness. If you go to the general public, the amount of awareness out there of climate change and environmental issues and climate change is not as informative as it should. And I'm a media personality, and I blame media for that. Because if you talk to the general public, they just, climate change, we hear this, what do you mean? What do you mean?
But for us, it's saying the Gen Zers are on it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So this trend is changing.
Yes, it is changing, but it's not changing with the speed that we want for the time being. The second thing is misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and people, they tend to hear a rumor, build a story around it, and act based on that. So again, it's the media responsibility to come and clear this misinformation, and we need the experts to start voicing whatever is happening. The third thing is what I called climate apathy. So people would feel that someone else is taking care of it.
Yeah.
I don't need to
Yeah.
do something about it because others are. And this needs to be changed as well, because each one of us is responsible in his own merit, for change, if we really want change. So that's it with the general public. Now with the SMEs, as I just said, there's a big issue of the financials. So they say to themselves, why should I be heading this, or why should I be part of it? Let the big organizations act on it, and then we'll follow. Whereas the number of SMEs is much more than the big companies, and the effect will be massive if each one needs to work on it. Do we need governmental intervention? Yes, we need governmental intervention and support, because at the end of the day, we don't want them to close their businesses. And the innovation companies, there are so many of them that are around, and I've seen so many open up in the UAE and Saudi, for instance, in the past couple of years. Do they get the support needed? Yes, there are many funds out there, but is the fund enough for them to develop and sustain? We need R&D. R&D takes a long time. Who is going to cover this? Who has the guts to do it, start, and follow up on this? This is how I see it.
We know that, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we know that scaling up pilot projects is essential for testing the viability of climate solutions. How can we engage in greater risk, and even if it means more potential failures for us?
The whole world is going through a transition phase. See, we're living in the world of polycrisis. The geopolitical crisis aside, there is cost of living crisis. There is climate-induced disasters, and the pace and the quantum of climate-induced disasters is growing. So if we don't take risks, if we are not brave, and also at the individual and community level, if the consumption behavior is not managed, adding to what Dr. Nashwa said, I think it would be a very kind of a difficult way forward. So consumption behavior, being brave, and abilities to take risks, and knowing that certain things will fail, I think is very important.
Martin, how can we encourage greater risk, even if it means potential failure?
I've already touched on this. It's around having a more sort of risk-driven appetite to innovation. I'm not suggesting that everybody that starts up a company that makes a widget should get funding. I'm not suggesting that the companies that are trying to build a sustainable business and doing good things should be buying things that don't make sense. But if there are, and this is why we set up Zero Carbon Ventures, is to find this fantastic technology and de-risk it, because we've looked at it, we've had engineers in it, we've built a program that can allow an organization to de-risk the purchasing of that technology. Means that you can run a pilot. And then once you've run a pilot, you very, very quickly then move to sort of say, well, this has been worked, this is proven, how are we going to now drive it into industry? And that takes some brave capital as well. But for me, the size of the prize on the potential of return on investment outweighs the risk. And the threat of not doing this in the speed, and we don't hit the challenges of meeting 1.5 degrees, and we don't hit the targets that have been put in for 2030 and 2050, the alternative is going to cost us a hell of a lot more money than the capital that needs to be spent now. And that's the message, and that's the ideology that I like to spread.
Yeah.
Dr. Nashwa, yeah. Dr. Nashwa.
If we continue as is, we need 2 planets, not 1.
Yeah.
If you keep using the same resources, and we do not change with the consumption, and we do not implement innovation, we will not be able to survive. Okay, we'll survive. What about our kids or grandkids? It's very difficult to see the world, not being aware of the dangers. And what's happening all around us is for a reason. But we do not link the dots. you want. There are so many things that we can do as individuals to start this cycle, and if we fail, it's okay, because it's a trial period for our kids. We know that if we fail for a very good reason. And I think that we should have a little bit of a stronger heart with regards to innovation and the implementation of it.
There's one thing we can't forget, and that's safety, right? You can't go and build these projects and ignore health and safety, and you don't want people getting injured on sites and things like that. But the technology is there. I've seen it. I spend a lot of time in universities in the UK. I've got a team of guys that go into those tech parks in Europe, and we understand what's going on in MIT in Boston. The technology's there. There doesn't need to be new innovation. We just need to get used to buying it. That's the message.
So the onus is on the individual, and we need to focus more on planet over profit, and ideally both. Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists today for all of your insights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.